Hey everybody, turn this down a little bit. That's my favorite band in the world, maybe my favorite big band in the world. That's the Mel Lewis, Thad Jones Jazz Orchestra, and we're going to talk about them a little bit today. First of all, thank you all for tuning in again, and we appreciate you viewing. We're not really here to sell anything. We're just here to inform some of you all about some of the great music that's available today, either in vinyl or in CD. Some of the recordings we're going to talk about today aren't available in vinyl. Some of the later stuff is only out on CD, but you can't find a lot of this in vinyl. So let's just back up a little bit first. The Mel Lewis Thad Jones Big Band was a New York-based band. I believe they first started recording in the early 60s in the Village Vanguard. And they recorded on Monday, or they played in the Village Vanguard on Monday nights. Monday night is what they call a dark night, meaning the Broadway shows aren't happening. There's not a lot going on Monday night. So in New York, they had the Mel Lewis, Thad Jones Big Band. Later in Los Angeles, Bob Florence Band kind of did the same thing. I think they played on Monday night too. Maybe it was a Tuesday night. But it's a great band. And some of the people, when you see some of the names that I'm going to tell you about here, just great players. It was a mixture of great studio players, great soloists, alumni of some of the Ellington and Basie, some of the great Woody Herman, some of the great bands that were either still on the road playing or not around anymore for various reasons. Mel Lewis is a drummer. I think most of you might know that, from Buffalo, New York. He matriculated out west for a while and was influenced by Shelly Manne a lot. And in his own right became an influence for a lot of great drummers today. Thad Jones from Detroit. A lot of good players came out of Detroit, came to New York, and these two guys hooked up and formed such a musical band. It was just an incredible. Every player from the beginning right up until today, the band is still playing. Of course, Mel is no longer with us, and neither is Thad, but the band is still active, I think, in New York, somewhat. There's a lot of recordings. I think this band is it's a cross between the Ellington Band, orchestration-wise. Thad was a great arranger. Bob Brookmeyer did a lot of tunes, a few other people. But musically, it's orchestration-wise, it's much like the Ellington Band, but it had that swing of the Basie Band. Thad played the Basie Band for quite a while, and Mel is just a great drummer. He was one of the few people that could play big band drums and small group drums equally as well. There aren't too many. I remember hearing Buddy Rich once with a small band after many years playing with his band, and it just didn't make it. However, in Buddy's early recordings, he recorded way back with Oscar Peterson, some of the great players back in the 40s and 50s. In fact, I read a quote that Oscar said that Buddy Rich was his favorite drummer, and he plays much different back then than he did in his later years. But Mel could do it all; he could do anything. Just was a great player. But the band was just musically so good. Let's talk about some of the recordings here that I have. They're all really excellent stuff. They picked some great labels to record on. They started out on a label called Solid State Records, which was started by Manny Album and I can't remember who the other gentleman was. I know I'll find this. They were all recorded at A&R in New York back in these days. Sonny Lester produced these. Phil Ramone, that's who it was. But this is one of the first records that they did. Of course, it's called Presenting Mel Lewis, Thad Jones Jazz Orchestra on Solid State. These Solid State recordings are superb. If you can find clean ones, and they're around, they're not very expensive, and they're really, really good. Some of the people in this band, interestingly enough, Jerome Richardson, just a flute, soprano, alto, great player. Joe Farrell. Joe Farrell is known for playing some pretty avant-garde stuff later in the years, but back then, I mean, he was a superb alto player. Jerry Dodgen, Eddie Daniels, great clarinetist and great sax player. Pepper Adams, one of the kings of the Barry sax. Trumpets we had Richard Williams, Danny Stiles, Bill Berry, and Jimmy Nottingham. I could tell you a funny Jimmy Nottingham story. Maybe I will sometime about the time he fell asleep on the Ed Sullivan show, but for another day. Bob Brookmeyer, of course, Jack Raines, Tom McIntosh, Cliff Heather, great trombone section, and Richard Davis, who, you know, a lot of people either like or don't like Richard's playing. I happen to like it in the big band. I heard him. He played with a Phil Woods group on a recording called Musique du Bois that Phil absolutely hated, but he knew the guy who ran the record company and did a record for him. Jackie Byard played piano, so really, it's not representative of Phil's recordings. But Richard Davis really plays well, I think, in this big band setting, because he really listens to Roland Hanna's playing, the pianist. Very tasty player, Roland Hanna. Just a great player. But this band was just an amazing band. If you could find this, it's a really great recording. Mean What You Say, that's what's playing now. One of my favorite arrangements and favorite tunes. But this is one of the very first recordings. I have two copies of it because one is better than the other. I don't think I paid very much. I think this record here I bought for $14.99, and this is the better quality recording in terms of, it's a used record, so it's in better condition. Followed up, they did a record with Joe Williams, a great singer. He also did one with Ruth Brown, great singer. Again on Solid State. And I think the personnel is pretty much the same on this, a little bit different. Snooky Young is playing lead trumpet on this. If any of you watch the old Tonight Show and you see kind of the short little black trumpet player in the trumpet section, that's Snooky Young. And a lot of times in that Tonight Show band, Snooky, who's a strong player, he's overdubbing Doc's notes. Make Doc sound maybe a little better. But Snooky was just a great player. Really strong player. Again, a Basie alumni. Same sax section, same trombone section, same rhythm section, obviously. So it's pretty much the same band. But this is with Joe Williams, again on Solid State. Great sounding stuff. Solid State had it together. They made a couple, two more records on Solid State. This is the most popular recording that they made. It's the one with Little Pixie on it, Don't Get Sassy. Just some great tunes on here. Interestingly enough, Marvin Stamm is playing trumpet in this section with Nottingham, Richard Williams, and Bill Berry. And you might know that Marvin Stamm, I think, was the first trumpet player on the original Blood, Sweat, and Tears band. Same trombone section, same sax section. This band stayed together for a number of years. The funny thing, probably why I like this band so much, I lived in and around New York City growing up. And probably around 1965, I would have been about 13 or 14. My neighbor was an accountant, and he was a jazz nut. And he's one of the people who turned me on to the music, as well as with my trumpet teacher, Pee Wee Irwin, and some other people when I was really young. But I got to go down and hear this band when I was 13. We went probably for a number of years, I didn't miss many Monday nights. It was a great experience. But this band is just superb. This is a great record. This is maybe my favorite recording that they did, again on solid state. Really well recorded for the time, and to this day. The last recording they did on solid state was called Monday Night on solid state. I think the personnel is pretty much the same on here. Danny Moore is in the trumpet section here, New York studio player at the time. Selden Powell probably replaced Jerome. Oh no, Jerome's on this. So Jerome and Eddie Daniels, Jerry Dodgens, Selden Powell, Pepperanos. Again, same rhythm section. But a great band. And this was recorded a little bit later, probably in the mid to late 60s on Monday Night. And the Vanguard, if you've not been there, if you get to New York, you should go. It's a pretty low ceiling. And the band really, with a 16, probably a 14, 15, 16-piece band, they sat very close together. But the acoustics were really good, and again, very well recorded for the time. Any one of these solid states are great. Late in the 60s, probably I think released in 1970, was a recording, I think this is the last solid state recording, called Central Park North. And this was a studio recording at A&R, not live, but a studio recording with some different people on here. Joe Farrell's on here again. There's two guitar players, not in the same cuts, but Galbraith and Sam Brown, but the same rhythm section. And Snooky again's playing lead on this. This is a classic recording. Central Park North, just great writing. Again, I have two copies of this. One's in better condition because this is a re-release, a reissue with a different label of the solid state. I bought this because I love the vinyl version it is, and they're getting harder to find, but they are around. They sound a lot better in the digital versions. The other really great record, they did a record on A&M, which is Herb Alpert's label. And I think they recorded this at A&R in New York, but it was probably mixed out in L.A. I don't recognize the engineers on here, but it's really good. And this has never been released on CD. This is called New Life. There's different players on each one of the 7 different cuts on here. They re-recorded a couple of the famous tunes that they did, but there's a lot of different players on here. But again, you know, the rhythm section is the same, but there's guys like Al Porcino, great trumpet player, is on here. Cecil Bridgewater's on this cut. There's some French horns on here. Wayman Reed plays flugelhorn, good player. Frank Foster's on a tune. You know, there's all sorts of great players on here. It's a who's who of musicians. New Life. This is again a great recording. You know, they're all good. They're all good. Finally, recently, I'm going to say probably back, probably a year and a half to 2 years ago, and I think you could still find these. There was a record store day, high quality, 180 gram pressing done at RTI. The best pressings in the world come out of RTI in LA. I don't know who did the Bernie Grunman did the mastering, so that's why this sounds so good. They took the master tapes, not released here, but there's actually recordings of the very first night that the band played, I was there the third night. I wasn't there for the first night or the second night. You couldn't get in. Um, but the third night, and there's some yelling and screaming on here, and it's a very loose environment, very fun environment. This is around. I really, really, if you could find this, and pick it up, it's a great recording. There are 3 discs on here. Recorded in 1966 in March and February of 1966. So the first day that they debuted was in February. I remember the weather wasn't good, but great band. What else? CD wise, a lot of the first 4 or 5 solid state recordings that I talked about have been reissued on just different mixes and different covers in different ways by a lot of different people on CD, and they're around in the used market. But you gotta watch. You might buy a CD that has 2 or 3 tunes that's repeated on other CDs, and they just market them weird. So you might buy something twice and think it's the same thing with a different name to it. It's just weird. Later, after a little history, Fad went to Europe in 1979, quite unannounced. It really took a lot of people by surprise. And he ended up living in Denmark and did some great writing for the Danish orchestra over there, Danish jazz orchestra over there. And died in Denmark. He's buried in Denmark. He did come back to do the Basie band after Basie died for a while, but he went back to Denmark. He really enjoyed living in Europe. And Mel, passed. Probably been 10, 11 years now, maybe more. But after the original band broke up, a lot of the studio players in New York, Jim McNeely and Joe Lovano, Dick Oates, Glenn Drews, great trumpet player, they continued playing the charts at the Vanguard on Monday night. And there's a number of CDs out that they recorded really, really well. One of the first ones was called Naturally. This came out about I think it was released by Telarc in 1980. It was recorded about 1980, but I don't think it was released for a number of years after that. McNeely is playing piano on here. Just again, a lot of great studio players from New York. Oates is on this, but it's worth getting. It's called Naturally. It's a great recording of some of the old tunes. Mel Lewis made a record featuring Bob Brookmeyer's arrangements recorded in 1982, I believe, on a crazy label called Red Baron Records. But it's really good. This is a little bit hard to find, but it's really good. It's not a big band. Well, it is a big band, but it's a lot of soloing. Tom Harrell, again, a trumpet player, played for many years with Phil. Woods is on this. Kenny Garrett's on this. Lovano's on this. So there's some great soloists on this, and of course Brookmeyer is a great writer, great arranger. The music of Bob Brookmeyer. Finally, there's another really nice recording called Soft Lights and Sweet Music on the Music Master CD label. These were not released on vinyl to my knowledge. They may have been, but I don't think they were. They're DDD, which means it's digitally recorded, digitally mixed, and digitally mastered. So there's no analog on here at all. But again, this is a similar band to the other later bands. Smullian's on this. Barry sax player. Dennis Irwin's great pianist is on here. Ted Nash, alto player, son of Dick Nash, trombonist with the Kenton Band. Good players, good New York players are on all of these. The other one is Monday Night at the Vanguard, again, playing some of the older arrangements, some new stuff. Really, I haven't gotten anything that's recorded under the name of the Thad Jones-Mel Lewis Band or the Mel Lewis Orchestra that hasn't been musically just superb. The early solid state vinyls are really good sounding stuff if you can find them in good condition. But please, if you don't know about the Mel Lewis Thad Jones Band, we all know about Basie and Ellington and Woody Herman. But this band is just one of the most musical bands that ever existed. Interestingly enough, a gentleman by the name of Chris Smith wrote a book called The View from the Back of the Band. It's a fantastically interesting book on the Mel Lewis Thad Jones Band, the life and music of Mel Lewis. About half of this, maybe a little less than half, has to do with the Mel Lewis Thad Jones Band. Some great stories. Also talks about Mel's young years up in Buffalo and California, and some of the work he did with Dizzy Gillespie and the recordings and all sorts of stuff. Terry Gibbs Band out in LA. The View from the Back of the Band. I'm sure there's a lot more stories in here that couldn't be told, but it's a great read. And if you really want to learn about the Mel Lewis Thad Jones Band, I really highly recommend this book. I don't have I'm not plugging anything. I don't know these folks. I can tell you a lot of stories about Thad Jones and the band. And again, maybe we'll do another episode on this, because there's a lot more about this band than I can talk about. I've probably gone on long enough now. So with that, I'm going to sign off. Thank you again. Don't forget the Mel Lewis Thad Jones Band. Just a great musically gifted thing going on here. Thank you all, and we'll see you again.